Section 13. Incidents, accidents and emergencies. You see a car on the hard shoulder of a motorway with a help pennant displayed. What does this mean? The driver is likely to be a disabled person. When should you use hazard warning lights? When you slow down quickly on a motorway because of a hazard ahead. When are you allowed to use hazard warning lights? When stopped and temporarily obstructing traffic. You're going through a congested tunnel and have to stop. What should you do? Keep a safe distance from the vehicle in front. On a motorway, when should the hard shoulder be used? When an emergency arises. You arrive at the scene of a crash where someone is bleeding heavily from a wound in their arm. Nothing is embedded in the wound. What could you do to help? Apply pressure over the wound. You're at an incident. What could you do to help a casualty who's unconscious? Check that they're breathing normally. Following a collision, someone has suffered a burn. The burn needs to be cooled. What's the shortest time it should be cooled for? 10 minutes. A casualty isn't breathing normally and needs CPR. At what rate should you press down and release on the centre of their chest? 120 times per minute. A person has been injured. They may be suffering from shock. What are the warning signs to look for? Rapid, shallow breathing. An injured person has been placed in the recovery position. They're unconscious but breathing normally. What else should be done? Check their airway remains open. An injured motorcyclist is lying unconscious in the road. The traffic has stopped and there's no further danger. What should you do to help? Seek medical assistance. What should you do if you see a large box fall from a lorry onto the motorway? Go to the next emergency telephone and report the hazard. You're going through a tunnel, a long tunnel. What will warn you of congestion or an incident ahead? Variable message signs. An adult casualty isn't breathing. To maintain circulation, CPR should be given. What's the correct depth to press down on their chest? 5 to 6 centimetres. You're the first to arrive at the scene of a crash. What should you do? Call the emergency services promptly. You're the first person to arrive at an incident where people are badly injured. You've switched on your hazard warning lights and checked all engines are stopped. What else should you do? Make sure that an ambulance is called for. You arrive at the scene of a motorcycle crash. The rider is injured. When should their helmet be removed? Only when it's essential. You arrive at an incident. There's no danger from fire or further collisions. What's your first priority when attending to an unconscious motorcyclist? Check whether they're breathing normally. At an incident, someone is unconscious. What would your priority be? Check their airway is open. You've stopped at an incident to give help. What should you do? Keep injured people warm and comfortable. There's been a collision. A driver is suffering from shock. What should you do? Reassure them. You arrive at the scene of a motorcycle crash. No other vehicle is involved. The rider is unconscious and lying in the middle of the road. What's the first thing you should do at the scene? Warn other traffic. At an incident, a small child isn't breathing. What should you do to try and help? Open their airway and begin CPR. At an incident, a casualty isn't breathing. What should you do while helping them to start breathing again? Tilt their head back gently. At an incident, someone is suffering from severe burns. What should you do to help them? Douse the burns with clean, cool water. You arrive at an incident. A pedestrian is bleeding heavily from a leg wound. The leg isn't broken and there's nothing in the wound. How could you help? Apply firm pressure over the wound. At an incident, a casualty is unconscious but breathing. When should you move them? When there's further danger. At an incident, it's important to look after any casualties. What should you do with them when the area is safe? Keep them where they are. A tanker is involved in a collision. Which sign shows that it's carrying dangerous goods? Now this is the rectangular sign, slightly horizontal, with orange labelling, which has various specifications and technical details on it. For this question, the lettering is 2YE at the top, and then 1089, and then some small text. And it explains there will be an orange label on the side and rear of the tanker. Look at this carefully and report what it says when you phone the emergency services. You are involved in a collision. Afterwards, which document may the police ask you to produce? Driving license. After a collision, someone is unconscious in their vehicle. When should you call the emergency services? As soon as possible. A collision has just happened. An injured person is lying in a busy road. What's the first thing you should do to help? Warn other traffic. At an incident, what should you do with a casualty who has stopped breathing? Follow the DR ABC code, or doctor, I assume, ABC code. You're at the scene of an incident. Someone is suffering from shock. How should you treat them? Reassure them confidently. There's been a collision. A motorcyclist is lying injured and unconscious. Unless it's essential, why should you not usually attempt to remove their helmet? This could result in more serious injury. You've broken down on a two-way road. You have a warning triangle. At least how far from your vehicle should you place the warning triangle? 45 metres, 147 feet. You break down on a level crossing. The lights haven't yet begun to flash. What's the first thing you should do? Leave your vehicle and get everyone clear. Your tyre burst while you're driving. What should you do? Pull up slowly at the side of the road. Your vehicle has a puncture on a motorway. What should you do? Pull up on the hard shoulder. Use the emergency phone to get assistance. You've stalled in the middle of a level crossing and can't restart the engine. The warning bells start to ring. What should you do? Get out of the car and clear of the crossing. You're driving on a motorway. When can you use hazard warning lights? When you slow down quickly because of danger ahead. You've broken down on a motorway. When you use the emergency telephone, what will you be asked for? Details about your vehicle. Before driving through a tunnel, what should you do? Remove any sunglasses. You're driving through a tunnel and the traffic is flowing normally. What should you do? Use dipped headlights. What safeguard could you take against fire risk to your vehicle? Check out any strong smell of fuel. You're on the motorway, luggage falls from your vehicle. What should you do? Stop at the next emergency telephone and contact the police. While you're driving, a warning light on your vehicle's instrument panel comes on. What should you do? Check out the problem quickly and safely. Your vehicle breaks down in a tunnel. What should you do? Switch on hazard warning lights, then go and call for help. Your vehicle catches fire while driving through a tunnel. It's still drivable. What should you do? Drive it out of the tunnel if you can do so. You're in a tunnel. Your vehicle is on fire and you can't drive. What should you do? Switch on hazard warning lights. What should you do as you approach a long road tunnel? Make sure your radio is tuned to the frequency shown. Your vehicle has broken down on an automatic railway level crossing. What should you do first? Get everyone out of the vehicle and clear of the crossing. What should you carry for use in the event of a collision? Fire extinguisher. You have a collision while your car is moving. What's the first thing you must do? Stop at the scene of the incident. You're in a collision with another moving vehicle. Someone is injured and your vehicle is damaged. What information should you find out? The other driver's name, address and telephone number. You lose control of your car and damage a garden wall. No one is around. What must you do? Report the incident to the police within 24 hours. Case study. You witness a road traffic incident involving 3 vehicles. You stop your vehicle and quickly place a warning triangle on the road. Then you telephone the emergency services. You check on the people involved. 2 people are slightly injured and another is in shock. You stay with them until the emergency services arrive. While paramedics check the 3 casualties, you explain the situation to the police and offer your own contact details. The officers then speak to the casualties. How else could you have used your own vehicle to warn other traffic? By switching on hazard warning lights. Apart from casualty information, what details would you need to give to the emergency services? Location of the incident. How should you deal with the person suffering from shock? Stay with them and reassure them confidently. Why would you provide your own details? You might be required to supply a witness statement. Which documents would police officers normally ask to see from the people involved in the incident? Driving license and insurance certificate. And so ends that section.